The Negro is a born trader, Lynn says. Our surface European merchants, even Jews and Armenians, can learn much of the cunning and trade of the Negroes. We know that the trade between Central Africa and Egypt was in the hands of Negroes for thousands of years, and in early days, the cities of the Sudan and North Africa grew rich through Negro trade. The history of white and black supremacy is the history of control over trade. And concerning the transatlantic slave trade, and this is the era of the transition from black supremacy to white supremacy, even then the trade in slaves was for a large part in the hands of black people, for lack of a better word to use. And these words, the color identification is just kind of a way to control trade, just like the English didn't consider the Irish to be white, and that was because they didn't want them to be part of the supremacist thing. So it's just a supremacy over trade, and extreme cruelty as a means to do that. But white supremacy is just a process of controlling trade. And John Newton shows us the slave trade. The natives are cheated in the number, weight, measure, or quality of what they purchase in every possible way, and by habit and emulation, a marvellous dexterity is acquired in these practices, and thus the natives, in their turn, in proportion to their commerce with the Europeans, now I am sorry to add, particularly with the English, become jealous, insidious, and revengeful. John Newton, the ex-slave trader, also says, "For with a few exceptions, the English and the Africans respectively, consider each other as consummate villains, who are always watching opportunities to do mischief. In short, we have, I fear, too deservedly, a very unfavorable character upon the coast. When I have charged a black with unfairness and dishonesty, he has answered, if able to clear himself, with an air of disdain, 'What? Do you think I am a white man?'" But yeah, basically, the transatlantic slave trade was a process of weakening these nations, these societies, by flooding them with cheap European goods, and that even if they were a lower quality of what they themselves could produce, they were cheaper, so it put native industries out. Those places became very wound up in the slave trade because they could center their society around the slave trade. So these cheap imports come in, and they turn to the slave trade, and that is the process of, and then the next step is colonialism, and then after that, neo-colonialism. Oh, and also remember, the transatlantic slave trade, it weakens societies in Africa, and it strengthens societies in Europe and the Americas. So, just as much as it's weakening African societies, it's strengthening European societies. And I'm going to put 2 videos on black supremacy and 2 videos on the transatlantic slave trade on the descriptions box of this video, and those 4 back up what I said here.
So these commercial conducts did take place either indirect or directly.
Kanyok lived today in the middle of the Democratic Republic of Congo and in the center of the continent, in an area where the trade networks of the Congo and Zimbabwe could well have overlapped. They sing a song exalting travel.